Welcome to the Bill Cartwright Show with our special guest, Mike Sestich, USF alum. Mike, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bill, and what a pleasure it is. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, it's interesting because it's hard to get alums on the show, especially ex-players. Some are thrilled, some are just not. So I'm really happy to have you here. But let's go really quickly here. I just want you to talk about yourself, where you grew up, and I want you to talk a little bit about mom and dad.
Would love to. I got two of the greatest parents ever, born and raised and still living in San Pedro, California, just down here, Southern California, LA, San Pedro. My parents were immigrants, 1969, came out here from Croatia. And fun fact, I was born 20 days after they got here. So I was born on July 5th. My mom was in the hospital on July 4th. Being from Croatia, they don't have July 4th Independence Day over there. Rockets going off, fireworks. She thought there was a war going outside the hospital until someone that could translate came in and let her know, hey, no, it's just a celebration, which calmed her down somewhat. But yeah, my mom was a stay-at-home mom, always cooking, cleaning. Even today, that's what she does, works in the garden. My dad, carpenter, came here and just worked his butt off every day, all day to make a better life for his kids. And I have an older brother. He was 2.5 when my parents got here. Another funny story, and this is my parents are young, obviously. I keep asking what they were thinking at the time, and they still can't answer that question. But my mom is ready to give birth. They're leaving, start a new life in a different country. They get a doctor to sign off that she wasn't that pregnant so she can get on a plane. My brother was 2.5, and back then, if you're under 2, you could fly for free. So the first stop from Croatia was to Germany, and that flight, they said my brother was under 2.5. No problem, free flight. Then from Germany to the US, when they were about to get on the plane, they were asking where the ticket was for my brother. And they gave the same story. And they're like, well, on his passport, it says he's 2.5. Where's his ticket? My parents had $15 in their pocket, couldn't afford a ticket. And they just kept talking their way till the guy got sick of him and goes, all right, just go, just get out of here.
Wow. That's very funny. So talk about yourself. What kind of kid were you growing up in high school? Were you a sports kid? Were you an academic kid? What kind of kid were you in high school?
Well, most people find this hard to believe, but I was a great student in high school. Almost all straight A's, AP classes. Yeah, I tell my kids that today. They can't believe it. But yeah, fortunately, school came easy to me. I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed playing sports. So I kind of did it all. And I enjoyed sports more than school, but I still did school. I knew I had to do it.
Now, did you play a lot of different sports growing up?
Yeah, I was back then, whatever season it was, that's the sports we played. Football, basketball, baseball. But as I got older, I found that baseball was just a little too slow for me. Needed more action. And I was skinny. I could show you pictures when I was young. I was so skinny, I knew football. If someone would hit me one time, that'd be the end of it. So I gravitated towards a basketball, which I love the most. But in high school, I also played some volleyball and did some track and field, high jump, long jump, triple jump. Kind of did a lot of different things.
So what do you feel like was your best sport? Now, when I grew up, I loved baseball. And then I had to come to realization that nah, I'm okay, but there's guys are a lot better. So what did you feel like your best sport was?
Well, obviously, I think basketball was my best sport because that's what I played the most and I enjoyed the most. But I got to tell you, I love volleyball. Volleyball was fun. And I think if I would have started at an earlier age, who knows? But I love volleyball. It's a fun sport. And now that I'm older, I wish I would have played soccer because I enjoy watching soccer. Although I probably would have been terrible at it, but I think I would have enjoyed it a lot.
Now, did you play a lot of basketball? Obviously, I did growing up. Seemingly, I had never met anybody until I got to college that shot more and played more than me. Did you play a lot of basketball? And if you did, who kind of influenced you?
Oh, that's a great question. So I grew up across the street from San Pedro High School. So that was my backyard, and they had outdoor courts, and they used to open the gym on the weekends and on certain weeknights. And there was a lot of older guys here in town that used to play basketball. And as kids, we'd go up there hoping that they needed an extra guy to play. They didn't have enough. And they would go, "Hey, kid, come on, we need one more." And so really what influenced me as a young age is just all these older guys, these men I used to play basketball with. And you kind of, take a little something from each of their games and try to incorporate it into yours to make it your own style. But growing up here as a kid, yeah, I used to watch a lot of basketball on TV. We used to get UNLV games here. Chick Hearn, the Laker broadcaster, used to do UNLV games at like 11 o'clock at night, local Channel 9 here. So I used to sneak out of my bedroom into the living room. We only had one TV. Parents didn't know, and I'd flip on and watch some basketball. Got caught a couple times, but yeah, I think it was just all the local guys here. Taught you how to, be tough. You're playing with men on the pickup game. That was always a lot of fun. As a young man, loved the Philadelphia 76ers was the first team I liked. Dr. J, obviously.
Yeah, of
But
course.
soon realized I couldn't jump like Dr. J, couldn't do the things he did. And then, Magic came on the scene here in LA, instantly a Magic fan. And I just love the way he played team basketball. I think that really hit me when I was in high school about the team aspect of basketball. So I love that.
So did you have a good high school team? I know we did, and we had a good high school coach. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, we actually during the when I was in high school, the late '80s, we had some really good teams here in San Pedro, and LA City basketball was probably up there with amongst the best places to play, probably in the whole country back then. So yeah, we had some good teams. We got to a city final, a city semifinal. Back then, here in the city, you only went to high school for 3 years. So I played 3 years. We had 3 league championships here. And like I said, every time we got to city final or city semifinal, we ran into some guys that future NBA players. So and I remember the first time we get to city final, I used to play at the old sports arena here where the Clippers used to play. And as the security guard is letting our team come into the arena, he asked us as we're walking by, he goes, "Hey, where's your center?" Like, we got guys 6'4", 6'5". What do you mean? He goes, "Oh, those other guys got 6'8", 6'9" guys walking through like, this is what we got."
So you are now leaving high school. So what are you thinking? Um, are you thinking about different colleges, or because ultimately you ended up at USF? So how did that happen?
Yeah, it was after the season, looking where to go, and I took a visit to USF, and honestly, instantly just fell in love with everything. Especially the guys that were up there, the guys that were on the team already. Took me around the city a little bit. I kind of liked the atmosphere of USF, kind of small campus. I think it just fit me perfectly. And right first time I showed up, it just felt like home, to be honest. I enjoyed everything about it.
So what was some of your other choices or thoughts? I know that I really narrowed mine down really quickly. I wanted to stay in California. So I only really picked 3 schools. So what were some of your other possibilities?
Whew, man, let me think. We had I know Wyoming was coming around serious. Arizona State was around. USC was asking me. They actually wanted me to wait a year to get there. I did not want to go out of California. That was number one on my list.
Yep.
I hadn't really been anywhere as a kid, so stayed close to home. And yeah, so USF just, far enough, but close enough.
So who recruited you from USF and kind of persuaded you?
The guy that came down was Coach Cosentino. Coach Cos was the first person I met from USF. He came down here to watch me play. And quite honestly, I don't think I've ever made more shots in my life than the one time he came to watch me. Hey, Bill, I'm not gonna lie, I couldn't miss that day, so which was perfect. So he came down and kind of sold me on it to come and take a visit and everything. And then the head coach was Coach Ravelli. He came down and sealed the deal. I had a meal with the family. That was it.
So talk about your first impressions when you first got to school there, and where'd you live? I know my first dorm was Gilson, and then I moved over to Phelan. So where were you?
Well, this kind of has to do with, I guess, treated a little differently as an athlete. When we had our visit, I didn't really like Gilson all that much.
No, me
And,
either.
yeah, and I hung out in Phelan a lot that visit, and I really liked Phelan. And fortunately, my roommate, him and I were the only two incoming freshmen. And we had talked before that we wanted to live in Phelan. So we asked Coach, bro, hey, can we get into Phelan? We don't want to live in Gilson. He goes, all right, you guys are going to go in Phelan. And which was kind of funny. So we're the freshmen on the team, but since we're living in Phelan, everyone thought we were older and that we were transfers. So that was pretty interesting.
So talk about your team. Talk about your teammates. Did you guys feel like you had a really good squad?
Well, coming in, like after the first practice, I think I called my brother and said, hey, these guys are unbelievable. We're going to the Final Four right off the bat. Because obviously in high school, you just don't have 7-footers all over the place, guards quick as lightning, guys that can shoot. It was an eye-opening experience. And I think a lot of people, including myself, we don't realize you think you're the big fish in a little pond here. Then you go and everyone has all these accolades. Everyone is phenomenal. And it's you got to work. You figure out really quick. It's either sink or swim. There's no getting skating by. So yeah, I thought we were going Final Four. These guys were fantastic.
So who were some of your teammates?
We had Mark McCathrian. I think he was a high school All-American. He was up from the city. We had Joe Seeger, who was a transfer from Oklahoma. I believe he came from Santa Monica. We had Pat Clarity, Pat Giusti, my roommate Jeff Christian, Robbie Grigsby, Kevin Mouton. We had a lot of transfers that came in, a couple guys that started USF, because I was at the time when USF brought basketball back. So there were a couple guys that were there still from the first day. They were freshmen. So, yeah, these guys were all just characters, Bill. The stories we could talk about with these guys are just, they made every day fun, and they were so different. It was a good environment, and everyone was tight knit. When it was time to go to dinner at the cafeteria, we all went at the same time. It was a lot of fun. These are good guys.
Is there a game or a couple of games that you can remember that were like really close? Like for one thing, when we played, we didn't, of course, not like Santa Clara. And when I was in school there, we never lost to them. So we had some pretty heated battles. Do you remember some games that you felt like Coach Bro said, look, we got to win this game?
Yeah. Obviously ours, I think we disliked St. Mary's a lot more than Santa Clara. St. Mary's was pretty good at that time.
Wow.
And plus I had a friend that actually went to Santa Clara at the same time I did, so I couldn't dislike him that much. But yeah, we really disliked. And I think the one game sticks out in my mind was probably when we played Notre Dame at USF.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was a great game. Intense, packed. And we ended up beating them. And the best part, I think there was a little slight words going on between Coach Bro and Digger Phelps after.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Digger was not happy that they lost. Coach Digger was not happy, which made it even sweeter. And it was a good evening on campus after that. Let's put it that way. A lot of fun, a lot
Yeah.
of electricity.
Matter of fact, Coach Pavelli still talks about that game and some of the comments that he had for Digger. So yeah, um, that's always really exciting. So
Yeah.
talk. I want you to talk about your senior year in school. So now you're about to leave USF. What are you thinking? Are you thinking I'm gonna try to play some basketball, or am I looking for a job? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, my thoughts. This was 1991. I'm finishing up, and I wanted to go play basketball overseas. Obviously, I'm not good enough to play in the NBA. You guys are unbelievable. People don't realize that. Not everyone can play in the NBA. It's incredible, the talent, power, skill level. But I have a lot of relatives still in Croatia. So that was my game plan. I was going to graduate, go over there, and just be a young man, play some basketball, and
Yeah, of
see
course.
how long you can play. They didn't even have to pay me. I had relatives that would have housed me, but it was 1991 at that time. A war broke out. Croatia used to be part of Yugoslavia, so war broke out between Croatia and Serbia specifically.
Yeah.
And I came back home to San Pedro, and I thought, all right, I'm gonna wait it out. How long can it last and get out there? Well, the war lasted till 1995. By that time, life moved on. I got a job, and professional basketball was way out of the picture at that point. So it went to life took me to a different direction.
Let me ask you, what'd you get your degree in, and what was your first job?
Well, I got my degree in business administration because even today, I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. So I wanted something general and maybe it will lead me. And at that time, I was just getting some odd jobs right out of college because I was waiting to go play basketball. So I was mostly just playing basketball. Eventually, after a year, I got a job. My mom worked at a bank, and she goes, "Why don't you come talk to some of these loan agents here and see what you can do?" So I went to talk to some loan agents, and I saw quickly that that wasn't my thing. But I also met an appraiser for the bank. So life took me in a direction. I enjoyed that, being a real estate appraiser. So that was my first serious job as a real estate appraiser. And I still am a real estate appraiser to this day. It's what I enjoy doing.
Wow, that's a real knack. So, who did you learn? Did you have to go through a long learning period of time to be able to do that, to get acclimated?
Yeah, I had some good people that kind of trained me, but what I had to do was take a couple classes to get a job. My mom worked for Home Savings, and I had to in with Home Savings. So one of these loan agents that I spoke with, he wanted me to go talk to the lead appraiser for the West Coast for Home Savings, which was a bank back in the day. So when I went there, what happened was it wasn't a meet and greet. I was actually going to an interview, and there was four people on this panel, and they're interviewing five people that wanted the job, and I was one of them. I wanted to know what appraising was at that point. I wasn't sure. So now I'm sitting there in this interview atmosphere, and I'm sitting right in the middle. There's two people to my right, two to my left, and they start to the right and they start grilling the first guy with all these questions. Second guy, then they get to me and they start hammering. I go, "Hey, I think there's been a mistake. I just want to know what appraising is." And they asked me, "Well, from listening to these other guys, what do you think it is?" So I kind of went through it. And all right, they talked to me for about 5 minutes. But after, the guy, I guess, liked what I said, and I'm sure someone put a good word in for me. He goes, "Hey, why don't you go take these classes? And after that, why don't you come back, talk to me, and let's see what we can do." And that's how I got in. Took two classes, came back, and there we go.
Well, obviously, you must have done a really good job. Let's go back to one question that I kind of missed. Is that when I was in school, I really learned probably my biggest lesson was, and you probably had this being from Croatia, a bigger worldview and a bigger view of myself, because we knew how to work. We knew how to work really hard, but we didn't know that we could be leaders. We didn't know we could have our own businesses. Talk about what is the biggest lesson that you learned at USF? It doesn't have to be about that, but what was the biggest lesson you learned when you were there?
Whew, that's a great question, Bill. Wow, the biggest lesson. You know, a lot of the guys on the team and people in school were from Northern California, specifically San Jose area. My roommate, Jeff Christian, he was from there, a lot of guys. And they taught me you just got to talk a lot. You got to ask and talk a lot and see where that will get you. Because I was a pretty shy kid growing up. I didn't talk a lot. Took me a while to kind of meet people and have conversations. And they just taught me, get out there and just start talking. And you don't know until you ask what the answer is. So they taught me a lot of that. And we had an assistant coach, Mike, the great Mike Farmer up at USF. And he kind of cemented a lot of that for me. And he would tell me stories about what he did and how he got through life. And that stuff really resounded with me. So now I know you got to ask first. And if the first answer is not what you want, keep talking. They might change their minds.
And that is great advice. I always tell my kids that I don't know of anybody that's not going to give you their opinion if you ask them.
Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Yeah.
You know, when I was playing, and even now, I'm a big hobby guy. Like I'm still trying to play guitar. I used to play chess. I used to collect different things. What's your hobby? What do you like to do? For just fun, just for you.
Well, I always have loved to read, so I do a lot of reading. And also, as I've gotten further along in my life, I've enjoyed gardening. I got a little vegetable garden out there and just kind of, some plants around the yard. It just brings a little peace of mind to get out there, get your hands dirty, put a little work in, and then you get to see the fruits of your labor. I enjoy that. We got a lot of pets. Take care of the pets. We got some chickens, so that's always fun being around chickens.
You do?
Yeah. I think I was meant to be a farmer. I'm not sure, but I do enjoy that. And also I love going fishing. So I don't do it often enough, but I love being on the water on a boat. All these things just bring me kind of peace and calm to my life and kind of put your mind at ease, and rest your mind for a little while.
Okay, I got to tell you, what was the biggest fish you ever caught? I can't say that because the biggest fish I ever caught, the line broke and got away. But what's the biggest fish you ever caught?
Well, let's see. So one of my jobs early on in life was I went commercial salmon fishing up in Alaska.
Wow.
Yeah, did it twice for like a month each time. So I'm not going to count those big 50, 60 pound salmon we caught in nets. But I think probably like a 30-pound tuna right here off Catalina Island right here. That was probably the biggest one, which was if you ever caught a tuna, man, those things fight. Wow, a lot of fun.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, I'm not a fisherman. I'm more the land guy, golf and tennis. So I'm a little safer that way. Hey, talk about your family a little bit.
Well, I met my wife here during that little stretch where in between, am I going to go play basketball or not? Met my wife here in San Pedro, 4 years younger than me. Met her here. We've been married now 27 years, going on 28 years.
Wow.
We have 4 unbelievably wonderful and different children. Love them all, but they're all so different. 3 boys and 1 daughter. My oldest son graduated from UC Santa Cruz. My daughter graduated from LSU. My next son, he's in junior college right now, freshman. And my youngest, he's eighth grade, getting ready to go to high school. Well, let me throw a shout out to them. Mio, Daniela, Thomas, and Marco. Love all of you.
Now, I have 4 kids myself, and I got to tell you, they're all different. It's
Wouldn't it be
amazing.
nice if they're all the same? It'd be easy.
What is the biggest difference in your kids? Biggest
Um,
differences?
two of them, my daughter and my youngest, are a lot more outgoing than my oldest two. They're more reserved and kind of like to be behind the scenes, where the other two, they're ready to go and do anything. You name it, let's go. They're ready to go. So that's the biggest difference to me, is just how outgoing they are, how
Are
different.
they sports kids?
Not really,
Oh,
no.
really? That's okay.
No. So my oldest, he ran cross country. He did it in high school and junior college. My daughter was a cheerleader. And my third one, no sports. He played baseball when he was young, but when he got to high school, he didn't want to do sports anymore. And the youngest is just picking up boxing right now. We have a family friend that wanted to teach him boxing, so he's getting into boxing.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not an easy sport.
No, not at all. So it's a good workout for him. So I'm proud he's getting some exercise in.
So I just want to talk about what kind of dad were you? Now, I was more the disciplinarian, mainly because I was gone. And then it was like, hey, wait till your dad gets back home and he's going to discipline you. So what kind of dad did you feel like you were?
Probably with the first one, not a great dad, because I was figuring it out. So I apologize to him often. Yeah, I thought kids were supposed to act a certain way and be a certain way, and I quickly learned that I was terribly wrong, especially when you get down to the fourth one. So yeah, I was definitely the disciplinarian, and as each kid, I'm sure you're the same way. It's less and less discipline with each one as you learn more. And it was difficult to figure out what worked with each kid because they're all so different. And so there was a lot of techniques we had to try to figure out. And also with my daughter, it was very difficult because to this day, I don't understand girls. I don't know what's going on. And I always remember one time she was in her room. She must have been like 7 years old, and she's crying. And I walk in there. Oh, what's going on? What's the matter? She goes, I just have emotions. And I go, okay. And I gave her a hug, walked out, and I told my wife, hey, this one's on you. I'm lost. I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I was very fortunate that I had 3 boys and my daughter. My daughter is very different, and but luckily she's such a great girl that we probably disciplined her less, but she probably didn't need it. So it's just kind of really interesting because they're so different. And
Yeah.
uh,
My daughter's tough as nails too. Before the last one was born, they asked my second oldest son, does he want a brother or a sister? He goes, oh, we need a brother. We need one more to gang up on our sister. She ran the show.
now, I do want to ask you, I will watch a ton of sports now still, just to kind of keep myself abreast of what's going on. And um, I'm a big sports guy, basketball, baseball, football, everything. Soccer, I don't care what's on. Knife throwing, I'll watch. So do you still watch a lot of sports?
Absolutely. I can't get away from, kind of like you, a lot of things that pique my curiosity. Yeah, I even watch the bull riding. Fascinated
Yeah.
by bull riding. Yeah, I'll watch that. Can't figure out why someone wants to sit on a bull like that, but I'll watch it. Yeah, absolutely. I'm way into soccer. European leagues, especially anything that has the national teams playing. Big fan of the Croatian national team soccer. Yeah, basketball. Love college football, pro football. Right about now, playoff time, I'll watch. But yeah, all that stuff, Bill. I'm just like you then. I'll watch anything. Just watch the Australian Open tennis final, men's and women. Oh,
You
man, I
know,
love all of it.
now, the last thing I'm going to ask you is you had an opportunity to come back, um, watch our Dons play, and see the building or what they've done there. What do you think? You like it?
Oh, I love it. I think it's fantastic everything they're doing. And it's very nostalgic going back. And as you know, just met you in person a couple of weeks back there at a game. It's always interesting because I'm watching the game, but my mind is always drifting to all these wonderful memories, of being at USF and just a lot of the changes. Even like when we walk into the bookstore, it's like, wow. And I do have to say, I'm a little upset they did get rid of the grog, though. I missed the grog. Had some good times at the grog. But yeah, I love what they're doing, and I hope they just keep doing it. You look at the campus, new beautiful buildings, just keep it going, USF, keep it going strong. It's amazing. And I encourage anyone who hasn't been in a while, go back and hang out on campus and relive some of these great memories we have.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Mike, thank you so much for being on. You're very awesome. And I want to make sure you stay in touch. Naturally, I want to be in touch with your roommate, your ex-roommate. Because for one thing, he's close to me. He's right down the road. I'm in Sac, and I go back and forth between Sacramento and San Francisco all the time. So let's make sure we stay in touch. And our Don season's not over yet. We could probably get another game in.
Yeah, hopefully. I'm ready to go. Yeah. And you're on the way. You got to stop by Jeff's house because you pass right by Vacaville and get some pizza. Billy makes good pizza.
That's what he tells me.
Yeah, he'll even let you make your own, which is kind of fun. But
Awesome.
yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. I'm honored to be on the podcast with you, and I can't wait to see you again and get a game in. Appreciate it. Thank you, Bill.